Beloit is a success story. It's not the only one. There are a lot of older Midwestern industrial cities that experienced the economic dislocation, the disinvestment that occurred in the 1970s and 80s, and that organized itself, mobilized its citizens, and recovered from that, reinvented itself, and in fact rebuilt itself as a modern, high-quality place that can be competitive in a 21st century economy. I think Beloit is an extraordinary example of that process. And it was actually through a number of organizations created by local citizens and the level of commitment to this city that turned things around. And so we certainly celebrate our level of civic engagement on a regular basis in the city. We have dozens of organizations and literally hundreds of volunteers turn out to support special events and community activities. And I think there are three very special organizations that should be recognized and that clearly illustrate the level of civic commitment in this community. And those are the three projects that were highlighted in this year's All-America City application. And the first one recognizes the organization now known as Beloit 2020.
Beloit 2020 and its predecessor organization, Beloit 2000, was formed in 1989. It is a private sector organization, not-for-profit, with the mission of enhancing the lifestyle, cultural aspects, recreation in the city of Beloit. Its membership comes from the corporate leaders and business owners for major businesses in the Beloit area, which totals about 30. Those are our members. All of our funds come from the philanthropic kindness of those members and or their organizations that they operate or work for. The Riverside Park area is a perfect example where over the 20 years we acquired the land and then deeded it back to the city with the specific intent to make a park along the riverside. So we went out and raised, along with our own funds, raised about $700,000, and we did Turtle Island 2, which is a wonderful play area if you've seen it. Riverside Park, Turtle Island, is now a destination for the city inhabitants and even those outside the city to come to Beloit. So it's just a wonderful venue that has been developed over the last 20 years.
The second project that we've highlighted in this year's application is the Fairbanks Flats historic restoration and reconstruction project. This is a very, very unique project that again illustrates the level of civic commitment. This was an old dormitory-style housing project that was built by Fairbanks Morris, a leading manufacturer in the city, to house African-American workers that they recruited down south and brought up here during the World War I labor shortage.
The committee basically got started because we were concerned about the demolition of the flats. Most of us that started the organization were either had been residents of the flats or had relatives that were residents of the flats, but we also appreciated and understood the value. But we finally realized that the first step we had to take was to have them designated a historical monument, and that saved them from demolition, giving us time to organize, to work on kind of tweaking our vision. What it created was a neighborhood. What it created was just a place that people called home. We're so proud that they could now go by there and see that those buildings are still there. The units are still there. Sure, somewhat changed and, redeveloped, but the concept, the nostalgia, all the memories, everything can be maintained.
The third project involves an organization called Youth to Youth. It's a group of young people, mostly high school age, junior high and high school age, and there's some now that have moved beyond high school that have stayed active. And they are engaged in a number of civic initiatives, many of which relate to public policy, things that promote public health, safety, and welfare, particularly those things that impact our younger residents. And they were very much involved back about 4 years ago in working with the city to help us develop the first indoor smoking regulatory ordinance. Very involved in the community, and as you can see, have racked up some pretty impressive successes.
We are primarily a teen advocacy program. The foundation of our program is teens. They spend most of their time educating younger youth about why not to use tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs. And then they also spend a lot of time advocating for community change, such as smoke-free air, underage drinking laws, things like that. When I became a staff member, I thought, you know, me talking to kids really doesn't make an impact. Why don't we try letting kids talk to kids? So that's how that evolved in 1996, is we started a small group at a middle school. Since then, over 2,000 kids have been a part of this program, and they've really reached about 50,000 kids in the last 15, 20 years. I am totally amazed how they're using the skills that they had. They're developing their own programs. They're talking to legislators wherever they go to college. These are things that adults would never even think about doing, and they're doing it in middle school and then carrying it on throughout their life. And I think that we've planted that seed. I really do.
I've had many one-on-one experiences with many students. For example, I just finished my first year at St. Cloud State, and I actually had a sociology class, Sociology 195, and I had to do a community service project. So actually I'm gonna start Y2Y up there. And I went into their community, their grade school, and their middle school, and their high school, and did a presentation just like I learned from Debbie. I did some one-on-one with certain kids, and they actually went to start the program up there.
So we think those are three among many that we could have included in the application that very clearly articulate why Beloit has been successful and clearly articulate the level of civic engagement that made that success possible.
I have seen Beloit in so many different ways. One thing is the diversity is absolutely wonderful, and it keeps changing. I'm
now retired. I could have moved anywhere we wanted to in the country, and we chose to stay right here in Beloit.
And I think, if anything makes Beloit an all-American city, if city officials understand that there may be an issue here, they will say, let's talk about it.